Welcome to everybody, and thank you for coming out for a beautiful day, for a beautiful ceremony in a beautiful downtown, Welch, West Virginia. We're so excited for the ribbon cutting today of Renaissance Village, a dream of more than 10 or 12 years that has finally come to fruition. So thank you again for coming out. Yes. My name is Bob Brown. I work in the office of the President for the American Federation of Teachers, and I serve as Treasurer of Reconnecting McDowell. I will be the MC today, and I'm going to stay out of the way as much as I can. First up, my friend and colleague, Reverend Leah Daughtry, who is the Chief of Staff for the American Federation of Teachers and also oversees all things related to the Reconnecting McDowell project and all of the staff from AFT who work on this. She's a fourth-generation pastor, and she keeps us all in pretty good line with God. My friend, the Reverend Leah Daughtry.
Good morning, family. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Can somebody say amen? Amen. I'm from the Talkback Church, so it's okay if you say amen. There is a community not so far from here where they greet each other with a question. And that question simply is, how are the children? Not how's business or how's it going or how do you like this weather? They greet each other with one question. How are the children? And the hoped for answer is all the children are well. Not my children are well, but all the children are well. Such is their concern and care for the next generation of community that they ground their day and center this concern in their greeting. And how are the children? Because they understand that unless the children are well, the family is not well. Unless the children are well, the community is not well. Unless the children are well, the nation is not well. So as we celebrate today, let us ask ourselves the question, and how are the children? Let us pray. Creator God, loving and gracious God, we thank you for this day that you have made, one we have not seen before, and we rejoice and we are glad in it. We thank you for the vision, for the people, for the community who brought this project to life. We thank you for what it means for the people of McDowell. We thank you for this path that you have put us on to rebuild our community, to make our visions reality, and to ensure that our community is strong, safe, and whole for the generations ahead. We're grateful to you for the strength that you've given us for this day, for this project, and for all the projects ahead. We thank you for showing us what we can do when we, the community, works together. When we cut across our differences, put our shame and our hopes and our hatred in the back, and bind together to work for a better future. We're grateful to you today for this and for all things. And so, Lord, we ask that you will give us guidance for the days ahead, for the moments ahead, until we do all the work that is necessary to ensure that all the children are well. Amen, amen, amen.
We have a real pastor, don't we? Yeah. Few housekeeping items. First of all, there are 2 bathrooms right inside the door. There are 2 bathrooms in the restaurant, and there are 2 bathrooms in the community room on the 2nd floor. Second housekeeping item. Immediately following this service, lunch will be served right inside the new coffee shop / restaurant, JC Mercantile and 37 Coffee. And when we depart after this is over, we'll go around. We're going to do a ribbon cutting in the front door. Then you can go right through the front door and they will serve lunch, and you can eat either inside or outside. Next on our agenda, or lineup, is a gentleman who I've come to respect and love so much, who has an incredible vision and drive for what Welch can be. The mayor of Welch, my friend, Mr. Harold McBride.
Thank you, Bob. First off, on behalf of the City of Welch, I'd like to welcome everyone with open arms to Welch. We're all so glad everyone come down, and thank you for coming. Second, I would like to take just one second to thank a person that was so adamant with this project. I called her Miss Reba, and that was the former Mayor Reba Honaker. She did a lot also to try to help make this thing happen, and we'd like to thank her for that for sure. So that being said, we are very happy, excited. We've watched some of the things happen, and I say it all the time. This building is more than just a building. It's a symbol. It's a project of hope, prosperity, and it helps morale of people here in McDowell County all the way around. So we thank these folks and everyone that's made this happen. Does this have any effect in their life? No. But they have the passion to help someone wherever they're at. So you really got to take your hat off to these folks. Give them a good round of applause. This is a huge undertaking for anybody to do this and do all the things they've done in the county and touch the lives of a lot of young kids and have turned their lives around. So it's enormous. And I always say the greatest thing that any person can ever achieve, it's not your fancy cars, it's not your job titles, it's not your big houses. It's making a positive in another human being's life. And when you do that, you've achieved the greatest thing that you will ever achieve. And when you lay down at night, or when you sit down on the couch at night, you get that really warm feeling right here because you know you've done something great. Now tonight, Miss Manchin's going to be over there grinning and sitting on the couch, and Senator's going to wonder, what is she up to? But with all seriousness, we thank each and every person that's made this happen. We welcome you. It affects more than just kids. It affects the city of Welch. You know, we're trying to revamp here in Welch. We have a lot. We've adopted Coal Town USA. And with this coming in, it causes people to look at us too. So it helps the city of Welch as well as it does everything else. So it's a real achievement. I thank everybody from the bottom of my heart, and I'm so happy everybody's here in Welch today, and thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor. Nadia, you're supposed to be on stage, young lady. You're up next. While she's coming, just a few folks in the audience. I saw earlier Alex Vaughn from Senator Shelley Moore Capito's office. There, thanks for coming. Kyle Saunders from Congresswoman Carol Miller's office. There you go. Thanks, Kyle, for coming. Thanks. And by the way, both of you take your sincere thanks back to the senator and to the congresswoman for their support. That's always important as we're trolling for more federal grant dollars. Thank you. I saw there he is, Senator Chandler Swope, West Virginia Senator Swope, who represents McDowell, who, by the way, was born in that house with the copper-colored roof right up on the hill to the left, or grew up there, rather. I see Delegate Ed Evans sitting on the front row, very passionate about helping McDowell County. This next young lady who's going to speak, we met her maybe 8 years ago. We had a really great grant from the AT&T Foundation to mentor some young juniors in high school in McDowell County, and we would assign a young professional mentor to them. We went to Charleston for a week. Ed, you hosted them on the House floor. We then took them to D.C. for a week, and they visited Georgetown, and they did job shadowing, and they visited Congress, and Senator Manchin hosted them. And one of the greatest success stories of all that program, called Broader Horizons, is one of our students went on to college, got a degree, came back to McDowell County, and is working in the school system here in McDowell County. And my personal opinion is she's probably going to end up being the first woman governor in the state of West Virginia, our good friend Nadia Johnson.
Good morning. Like I just told Bob, I was trying to stay as far away from the spotlight, from being out in public as possible. As he has mentioned, I am Nadia Johnson. I am now the Communities and Schools Facilitator at Mount View High School 6-12, where I also graduated from in 2017. As he also mentioned, I am an alumni of the Broader Horizons program, and it was an exceptional program that is part of the reason that I came back. I am very excited and eager to be a part of this journey and, now being a tenant of this new building. I am thankful for the vision that led to this building being built. And I am thankful even more for the goal that was reached, for that there were no broken promises along the way. Oftentimes, we look around and we don't realize the potential of McDowell County. We only see what it used to be. We only see the past, the people being here and the people being there. But this building right here provides us with a newness. It provides us with a stepping stone to revamp, recreate, and rebuild. And not only that, but also unite, not just the city of Welch, but McDowell County as a whole. Thank you.
She's going places. I see several Reconnecting McDowell board members in the audience who have made a tremendous commitment over the past 11 years. Mr. Tom Haywood, who serves as the Secretary of Reconnecting McDowell. Brother Cliff Moore, the best-dressed man in West Virginia, back here. I saw somewhere, did I see Dale Lee with West Virginia Education Association on the board? There you go. Thanks, Dale, for coming. I saw several members of the McDowell County Board of Education. I saw Mike. Where'd Mike go? There he is. Thanks for coming, Mike, and your support. And the administration. I saw a couple of McDowell County Commission members. They may have walked through and gone, but they were here as well. Our next speaker is from an organization that helped us pull off the financing of this building. Just so you'll know, when the Reconnecting McDowell board voted to build this building, we had $40,000 in the bank, and we wanted to build a $9 million building. And we did it with a lot of people. Vonda from Fahey, thank you, Vonda Pointer from Fahey, Federation of Appalachian Housing Enterprises, who kept us focused on trying to find a financing model. But a big piece of that was new market tax credits. And the National AFL-CIO has an arm, a nonprofit arm, that deals in housing, and what they do is invest union pension funds in infrastructure projects in America, in the United States, to create good paying union construction jobs. And because of that organization and their commitment to this project, we realized about $4.6 million of new market tax credits, and this woman was a part of putting that all together, my friend Harpreet Peleg from the AFL-CIO Housing Investment Trust.
We don't pay Bob to be our spokesman, but we really should. Thank you. I am so happy to be here with you today and humbled. We came to this site years ago, and there was a parking lot, but we heard the stories, we heard the commitment from the community, the years that people have put into making sure that this community stays alive, was inspiring, and we knew that we had to get involved, and we knew that we had to do something. So with Bob, Randi, Senator here, Mayor, we are just, we appreciate that you gave us the opportunity to be involved in this project. Commitment, community, and then capital, right? As Bob said, that capital, we're honored to be a part of that. But for us, it's really about the ability to have these impactful projects. When we look at these projects, it's the housing, it's the retail, it's the community space, it's the jobs, it's the sense that this was an inspiration brought together by years and years of people's fortitude. And so we are awed by your commitment. We are inspired by your perseverance, and we're just proud to be a partner here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I also, I have to do this. I saw Scott Thomas from BBL Carlton, who built this building. Where's Scott? He was here. Where'd he? Scott Thomas and our architect, Eric Margola. Yeah, wow. They came in on budget. We built this building in the middle of the COVID pandemic when the price of material quadrupled in some places, and they came in on budget. Thank you, BBL Carlton. Thank you, Eric, for designing such a great building. Also, I saw Andy Walters, the Secretary-Treasurer of the State AFL-CIO, and I think I saw Paul Breedlove with the Building and Trades that was built all union by the West Virginia Building and Trades. Thank you, Andy. Next up, I just saw Miller Hall back there, State Board of Education. Thanks, Miller, for coming down, and Deborah Sullivan over here and her husband for coming down. Most of the AFT West Virginia Executive Board is here. I see Terry. God bless you. Good to see you. A bunch of them, and their staff. So thank all of you for being here. Next up is a gentleman who has been committed to this from day one. In fact, the initial conversation about this project took place when this gentleman was governor, one night over dinner in the governor's mansion when Gail, tenacious Gail, got in Randy's ear about partnering in McDowell County, and that's when Gail was president of the State Board of Education. But along the way, when this man was governor, he supported this project and certainly has supported us and hosted a lot of events at his home and on his place in D.C. as we've moved along and try to gather money for this project. My friend, by the way, I promise you we did not coordinate suits this morning, but you do have good taste. Our friend and my friend, a dear friend to all of us, United States Senator Joe Manchin.
Let me say thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Please sit down. Thank you. Who says dreams don't come true when you think about it? And it truly was. I watched this come from a dream to a maybe, to I think we can do it, to we got a great partner. I watched it come to full fruition. Gail never gave up on this. She believed that we needed to do something, and it had to be something that was monumental and meant a difference, and it set a tone of who we are and what we are about in West Virginia. Education, as you know, is a great equalizer. We've talked about that. You can come from any place you want, any place you might have been. We are a product of who we are because of where we were raised, how we were raised, and who raised us. The bottom line is what we do with it. And that's what was the main, I think, focus point here is what do you do? Before I get started, I want to say a few words, but before I do, I'd like to take a moment of silence for Uvalde and the families and the grief that we've seen unfold. And it's just beyond my belief that harm could be done to our innocent children. And if anything that we do, we have to protect our schools, those who work in our schools, the teachers who dedicate their lives to our kids, and most importantly, the children who are going there for the opportunity of life. And if you would take a few moments just to think of them. Thank you. As we sit here and reflect on what we have in front of us, I start thinking about McDowell County, and I've loved history all my life, and having the opportunity to serve public service in so many different capacities makes you kind of really understand who we are. And it's even to this day we have to explain it continuously, who we are. The state of West Virginia, how do we become this state? What have we contributed? And I'm proud to tell people, I'm proud to tell all the children I get a chance to speak in schools, that when someone asks where you're from, you ought to take a deep breath and puff up your chest and give it to them and let them know who we really are. And I said, we are proud people that basically have probably given more back than any other state in the nation. We've made more sacrifices. We fought in more wars, shed more blood, lost more lives for the cause of freedom. We have more people that have given their lives for us to have the freedoms that we enjoy and take for granted. But on top of that, we have basically mined the coal that made the steel, that built the ships, that defended our country. When you think about this county, the #1 producing steel producing county as far as in the coking coal for World War I and World War II. They built the industrial might of America. It was the preferred coal that the Navy always used and always wanted, West Virginia coal, to make sure they had the best steel. And my dad always said, the best steel comes out of the hottest fires. The hottest fires came from Pocahontas, I mean, not from Pocahontas County, but from McDowell County, because it had the hottest, basically, grade of steel, grade of coal. And with that, we've always said we don't leave anybody behind. Well, we have had a lot of towns. My little town of Farmington has been left behind. A lot of towns that really have given so much, and as far as in contributions to America. And when AFT, when Randi stepped to the plate with Gail as a partner, a true partner, and became part of our family, and I just can't say enough about stepping to the plate, taking on this venture, and saying we can do this. And to make it happen and come down today and see the fruition, people living in beautiful apartments now, having an opportunity, educators that we bring down, different community leaders that want to come here and be able to give something back. So this is truly a time for us to say thank you and to say we have not forgotten, nor will we ever forget. None of us can do that. We live in troubled times that people say, well, the country's divided. The country's not divided. It's the politics that are divided. We're making you pick sides. Which side do you belong on? Well, I hope there's only one side. We're all on the same side of America. The different things about political parties are supposed to basically bring different ideas that solve the same problem that we identify. And anymore, it's basically creating more problems so you can pick a side. It's going to be up to all of us to say this has to change. It's not who we are. It's not how we become the superpower of the world. It's not how we'll remain the superpower of the world. You know, we shouldn't have to depend on other nations to provide energy for us. We have all the energy that we have in our country right now to be totally self-sufficient and help fill and backfill on our allies around the world. This is what they're counting on in superpower of the world. We have basically the world currency. The currency, of the world is basically the U.S. currency. And that's the thing that gives us the leverage in the whole world to be the leader. We can't let that go. There's so much depending on what we do and how we conduct ourselves. First of all, if you can't protect your children, who can you protect? That's the first and foremost thing. And Gail and I basically, the first time we ever heard Colin Powell and his wife basically bring out the 5 promises for children. And basically it's something it's inside of all of us, especially West Virginians. But when you think about the 5 promises, and he did it so eloquently, and we've adopted that and have a little bit of a foundation that we're trying to build and make sure that we can get something back also. But every child has to have a loving, caring adult in their life. That's not always the defend everything else but that. I can't be making a mistake because they intended to harm somebody else. I can't defend that one either. But I can defend everything else. And that's really what it's all about. But when you have somebody like Reconnect McDowell, when you have AFT and education associations all over this country that are willing to step up, I'm going to tell you one thing. Public education is threatened. I've never seen it threatened more than I see it today. And when we start paying people to keep their kids home, something's wrong. Something is wrong with that system. I'm telling you. It's absolutely. When you destroy the public education, think about it. You know, and I'm talking longer than I should, but I could never put two and two together of how we've had to decline in the education system that we've had, or we assume that we've had. Let me tell you how it was brought to me about a year ago. A professor came into our caucus and was teaching to me. He said, think about this. If you were raised in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, you had the cream of the crop, because basically a lot of the sensational, brilliant women didn't have other career paths. They had very limited career paths. So you had the cream of the crop that was coming into education. A lot of us in our age, Tom, can think about. Most fantastic teachers we have were the women teachers in my kindergarten, my grade school, and my high school. Now, the 70s and 80s comes. They have more opportunities. The world has opened up to the females. And before, the salaries were always low because they were supplemental to a husband's income, because you had a family structure. Things have changed. Guess what didn't change? Our appreciation and the pay that should have gone with the quality of a person that we want in that classroom. That's what didn't change. That's the problem we have. So if you want to change it, you know, this should be the highest calling of all, education. And they should be held at the pinnacle of society. They should be paid the quality of salaries that basically go with the commitment that we have and they've given. That's what we have to change in America. If we're not committed to that, I'll guarantee you we will not continue to be the superpower of the world. I'm not going to say any more because there's so many brilliant speakers here. But I just want to thank everybody that had a part of this, because it was a dream. Trust me, Gail dreams a lot. And she's not afraid to share those dreams either. And if you don't believe in those dreams, trust me, it comes back every day to haunt you. And then to see it, and her to take partnerships and become part of a family and make this happen, it speaks volumes. And I thank all of you. God bless each and every one of you. God bless the state of West Virginia. God bless McDowell County. God bless the teachers of America, AFT, who committed themselves to this, all of the education associations that basically work every day, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. If Rebecca, if you want to start bringing the governor of West Virginia has arrived. If you want to start bringing him this way, I'll make a few introductions. I know the governor's been on a tight schedule, but thank you, Governor, for coming. Just come on up and be with us.
There we go.
I'll pass. This is cordless. I'll pass it down. While he's coming, a few more folks in the audience. We don't have the expertise after we built this building to manage it and run it efficiently, so we hired another AFL-CIO affiliate here in West Virginia, Human Resources Development and Employment. Claude, where are you, Claude? Here, they manage the building for us. Jerry, and I see Stephanie Ahart from another sister organization. Thanks, Steph, for driving down today. They keep it clean and functional. I also saw, and I want to go back to this, I saw Attorney Jason Pizzatello over there against the wall, who was an aide for Senator Tomlin when we started this project, and they helped us get a $94,000 forgivable loan. Remember that, Jason, when we bought this property and you helped us? And it was contingent upon us building something. We came through. Governor, thank you so much for coming. This gentleman clearly needs no introduction, but I'm going to. Go right ahead, Governor. I'll pass you the microphone here in a moment. I do. He's no stranger to McDowell County, and I was thinking driving down this morning, One of the first times I ran into this gentleman in McDowell County was about 10 or 11 years ago. Then Superintendent Jim Brown invited Gail and me down to Bradshaw Elementary right before Christmas break. Those kids were cranked up, man. We were in the auditorium with the kids. They were cranked up, and they kept saying, "We're waiting on Santa Claus. We're waiting on Santa Claus." Well, that's what every kid's waiting on. A helicopter landed on the schoolyard, and this giant Santa Claus got out of the helicopter with a bag over his back of toys, came into the school. Not only did he give a toy to every child in that school that he bought from his own pocket, he talked with every child in that school before he left that day. That's the kind of commitment he's had to McDowell County over the years. And then, with that in mind, we approached him when we almost had the financing package together for this building. And we realized after we started tearing the foundation out, we ran into some abandoned tanks and realized we were sitting on an abandoned mine site. And thanks to Governor, your folks in the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection, the folks from the Federal Office of Surface Mining, by the way, they're here today. Thank you, guys. Roger, thank you all. The governor committed the last $1 million to build this beautiful building in downtown Welch. Thank you, Governor, for your commitment. There you go.
Well, listen, thanks for letting me be a part. You know, today started off pretty early, and we got a little bit behind and everything, but again, I always feel really at home being right here in southern West Virginia. And I see all kinds of dignitaries here, you know, whether it be Miller or Chancellor Ed, great Senator Manchin, Co-Chair Gail, and all the dignitaries that are up here, mayors here, so many different people that have put in lots and lots of licks to make things happen as best we possibly can here. You know, at the end of the day, there's lots more we can do. And it's taken way too long to do what we've already done, but at the end of the day, they got it done. And that's what really should mean everything. You know, I go back to Gail just a second, and I know there was lots of folks that were involved other than Gail, but I don't know how many times we heard about Reconnecting McDowell and how important really that message always was. And so, especially for Gail, especially for all of you and everything, today is a really special day. Now, Bobby was kind enough to talk about a gigantic Santa. And I really met all the qualifications as far as roundness. Maybe not as far as height, but as far as the roundness, I got that down pat. But I would just tell you just this. He said, I gave a present to everybody and I took time to talk to everybody. Well, I'm going to tell you that there's nothing as precious as our kids. And no matter whom you are, if you're not taking time at some point in time in your life to be with kids, you're really missing something. You know, I've coached forever. And a lot of people say, well, why in the world are you doing that? Well, really, sure, it's hard, and sure, it takes time, and it takes lots of effort and everything, because you want to do a good job. But I'm telling you right now, if you don't believe, and I've said it 1,000 times, that the giver is always the one that wins. The giver of your time, of your resources, whatever it may be, you're always the one that's going to win. You can pass so much on, and God knows our kids need you more than you can imagine, especially today. Look at what just happened in Texas. Look at what's going on with how our kids are torn all to pieces with the drugs and everything else under the sun. And look at all the different pressures that they face today that we didn't have when I was growing up. You know, it is amazing how much of an obligation we have to our kids. And our kids don't function without our teachers. And without this building and all the good stuff that's going on here, we don't function. The last thing I'd tell you is just this. I flew to Crumpler over and over. One of the times I was at Crumpler, Gail was with me. Little small church at Crumpler, and there Santa is getting out of a helicopter at Crumpler. Year after year after year after year. In all of that, I'll never forget this until I die. There was kids that came up and crawled up on Santa's lap and they whispered in my ear their name. And they also would whisper some little something like this. We found that little girl. We found her when she was just a baby. We don't have any idea what her name is to this day. We found her when she was like 12 weeks old. We found her. Over and over and over, kids that don't have parents, don't have grandparents, kids that absolutely have every obstacle in the world, you owe it to them. You owe it to them. We're so blessed it's off the chart. Absolutely none of this happens without the great work of all these people and all of you. I'm really proud to be just a part. Grain of sand. That's all I want to be. And if I can help in any way in the world, I love you all and I thank you for all that you've done. God bless each and every one of you. I'll give this back to Bob.
Appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you, sir.
Thank all of you. I'm going to come over here and shake y'all's hand, and I'll go back and sit on the stool. Okay, I'm back over here on the stool.
Well, I'm supposed to introduce Gail next, but I think the governor took care of that. She has been totally committed to this project since day one. And I'll never forget, I went back to that first night in the governor's mansion. Those of you who know my boss, Randy, knows that she's a tough negotiator. If you've ever seen her in negotiations, she knows her stuff. Yet Gail Manchin single-handedly convinced Randy not just to commit her name, but money and staff to this project. And that's the kind of person, and Gail has never wavered. She's been at every event we've ever held and been a great fundraiser and a great supporter and a great visionary for this project. Our friend, the now co-chair of the Appalachian Regional Commission, Gail Manchin.
Thank you. You know, the very best thing I could do right now is just say thank you and leave, because I appreciate so much all of the kind words, but this is an important day. You know, when you walk into a school and you walk into a classroom of children and you're doing a little round table with them, and they said, why do people not like us? Why do teachers not want to be at our school? We try to do what they ask us to do. We're trying to be really good. We want to keep our teachers, but they don't stay. Kids feeling the blame that because teachers didn't have affordable housing in a county, that they taught here, they lived in Beckley, they lived in Bluefield, Princeton, and as soon as a job opened up in Beckley, Bluefield, or Princeton, of course they went. They didn't want to drive over that hour-and-a-half mountain in the wintertime. But how could you listen to children taking the blame for teachers not wanting to be in their school? And so, no, I'm not a tough negotiator. But I had a passion, and you saw what the issue was. And I'm not a tough negotiator. Randi Weingarten understands. As soon as I met her, I saw her compassion for children. I knew she understood the challenges that we have in rural America, in isolated communities that don't have everything just available to them. And everywhere I went, I met Eloise Elliott, Dr. Eloise Elliott from WVU, bringing nutritional activities and action activities for kids in these rural counties, turning them on to exercise and healthy living. And I met teachers in the classroom trying to do what they could. And our state school board at that time was committed that we had to do this. And I look now at, because what we began to realize is that it wasn't just about the schoolroom. It was about those other services that children need, those wraparound services. And I'm so appreciative to First Lady Kathy Justice, I'm looking at saying Jim, Kathy Justice, for her great work with communities and schools and what they bring and your work in that area, what that brings to the school, that support system that children need in their lives. When we first started this, someone came up to me and said, if it takes a village to raise a child, who raises the village? Each and every one of you are raising that village. Your support of your children, of your schools, of the Renaissance Village that now provides affordable housing for teachers, for any professional that wants to live in this beautiful part of our state where the mountains, I mean, look around you at the beauty that we are setting in today. And we're providing together that opportunity to grow. And our new coffee shop that will be opening up, that's the beginning of economic development and vitality for this area. So it's to each and every one of you, again, that I say thank you. It is about teamwork and partnership and collaboration and caring more about working together to make something good happen than worrying about who will get the credit or who will get the bigger piece of the pie. No, the children get the bigger piece of the pie, and it's because of each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. One more speaker, I promise. Just one more. And to introduce our final speaker is a friend of mine whom I grew up with. This gentleman, he's going to introduce our next speaker, our last speaker rather, but Fred and I actually went to junior high together and grew up together. I think he took one of my sisters to the prom or something. And that was a high threshold, man, to take one of my sisters out. I had two rough brothers. You had to be pretty good to get there. But he's been my friend ever since and long before. The president of AFT West Virginia, Fred Albert, to introduce our final speaker.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks to everyone who's here today. What a wonderful day it is. And as I look out in the audience, I have a former student sitting here who's now working with Senator Manchin. And you talk about a proud heart. When I see Trevor and his accomplishments, he will be a junior at Duquesne University in the fall. That's what it's all about, is passing it on to the next generation. I've had some highlights in my lifetime. And one of those highlights was in 2018 when I stood in front of about 4,000 people at our national AFT convention, and it was my honor to be able to introduce our national president, Randi Weingarten, at that time. Well, today ranks right up there with that high honor. To be able to stand here in front of this Renaissance Village and to be able to introduce our national president, she needs no introduction, because if you've watched any news, if you've read any newspaper, if you've listened to any radio station, you already know all about Randi Weingarten. But I want to say something today publicly in front of her that she may not even know. She's an inspiration to me. On those days when I wake up and I think, you know, why am I doing what I'm doing? And you feel a little bit defeated. I often think of Randi because she's all over this world. And I mean it, the world. She goes like no one else I've ever met. I don't know where she gets all of the energy she has, but she is
full of, and Randi, you millions of others. She's a fighter for public, not just for our teachers and our servants, but our children.
Times. And in some ways, the country caught up with the tough times that were here. And maybe, just maybe, as we lean into hope over fear and aspiration over anxiety, and the mayor said that, this is a building that's more than a building, it's a symbol. It's a symbol of, and all the speakers have said it, of hope and of renewal and of rebuilding, and then all the C words that the senator said, and all of these things. But what it means, so there's a few lessons here. And I am hopeful that the country takes the lesson that people who may think differently, talk differently, look differently, people who may be ideologically different, that when we band together to help a community revitalize and rebuild, listening intensely and intentionally to the community's needs, not coming in and going out and saying, oh, we got something for you, and abandoning them once again. That's the lesson of Reconnect McDowell. It's the lesson of partnership. It's a lesson of deep work together to support aspirations and dreams that people have all across America. Whether you live in New York City or whether you live on Main Street or Wyoming Street in McDowell or in Welch, West Virginia. And that's what this project demonstrated. That starting with children, starting with, and I'll use something I've said every single day since I was blessed to be a union president, both in New York City and now, that every public school, and yes, Senator Manchin, it should be every public school. We need public education. Society needs public education. COVID certainly taught everybody the need for in-person public education. We need the community schools and those wraparound services, as Gail said. Every public school should be a place that parents want to send their kids, that educators want to work, and mostly that kids thrive. Not worry about being gunned down. Not worry about safety. Not worry about not being able to eat. And what we did with Reconnect McDowell was we tried to put these principles into place, to work with the school system, to work on the things that would raise the graduation rate and raise the number of kids that went to college, and have the wraparound services like Lego, like phys ed, like dental services. But we knew that if we didn't do the things that sparked a new economy, as we honored the old economy of coal, not abandoned it, not said it was useless, but honored it, as Senator Manchin just said, but come with a new way, a new economy. And you have to start somewhere. And Marina, Mayor Honecker, and Mayor McBride, they've helped us in so many ways, do so many things. The governor, even when he was mad at us, helped us in so many ways, do so many things. The staff, I want to just say, I want the staff. There's a lot of staff here. There's AFT staff. There's AFT West Virginia staff. There's Reconnect McDowell staff. There's staff of all of us that are up here. I want the staff just to raise your hands and be recognized so we can show our gratitude to you. Thank you, Deb, for raising your hand, for being here today. So it does take a village. But most important is what we do next. How we take this, what we've done together, and make it not a model, but a way of life for people in America, to see that people can work together, listen to communities, and rise up in a way that we are centering it on hope and opportunity, not fear and hate and division. That's what this means to me. As someone who loves children, who has taught children, who is in pain about what is happening in schools throughout the country when people are trying to divide. And to the other elected officials in West Virginia who are not here today, support our teachers. Look at the work that their union just did to help McDowell. Don't undermine them. Support them. They want to help all kids succeed. So I want to just end by saying this is a start, not an ending. We already at the board started thinking about what's Reconnect McDowell 2.0? What's the next stage? What's the work that we have to do throughout West Virginia? What's the work we have to do throughout America? Public education is the way to heal, the way to create opportunity, the way to create, as the governor said, caring and compassion. And I want to thank Gail for having faith that this kid, loudmouth, short, Jewish kid from New York would be the kind of partner that you envisioned. And look what we have all created here as an opportunity to go into the future, to help children thrive and communities revitalize. Thank you.
Now, don't run off. We're going to ask the governor and Randy and Gail and the senator and the mayor and Harpreet and everybody on the stage, Nadia, Reverend Daughtry, to go around. We're going to do a ribbon cutting. We have a ribbon on the front door, a big pair of scissors. We're going to cut it. And then right inside the new coffee shop, we're serving lunch to everybody here. And these are the new folks from Kentucky who have invested in this coffee shop / restaurant / mercantile store. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy their food. So if we'll work our way around, we'll cut the ribbon. And after lunch, we have 40,000 books to give away to the kids of McDowell County, thanks to AFT and First Book. And Brother Cliff Moore is hosting an economic development symposium at the Cafferty Center starting at 1 o'clock.
Good. You don't have to worry about it. I'd be happy to. I got swim by this before. Just a report to DC. You're gonna have to do camera.
No, no, I live on.
Oh, you do? Okay.
It's okay, it didn't cut. You're good. Look at that. What's that?
Yeah, you got a little help there. Hold on, we have to have a countdown. You all ready? 1, 2, 3.